What? Miss Earth is going virtual in 2020? Really? Yeah, really. Hey guys, welcome to Critical Beauty Salon. If you're new to this channel, welcome. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Click the subscribe button below and the bell icon to get instant notification for the next video. As you know, I don't have a lot of friends, but I need subscribers so I can continue creating good content and sharing it with my fellow pageant aficionados. So Carousel Productions, the organizers of the Miss Earth pageant based in the Philippines, has decided not to skip a year despite the pandemic, even though the other rival pageants like Miss Universe, Miss World, and Miss International have all decided to cancel their 2020 editions and reconvene instead in 2021. From a safety and health perspective, this is a wise decision because the coronavirus has not yet been totally eradicated, and there has been an uptick in new COVID-19 cases in many parts of the globe. However, Miss Earth, perhaps seeking to be consistent with its yearly production or perhaps seeking to distinguish itself from the rival pageants by becoming the first major pageant to go virtual in 2020, is taking a huge risk. What if the virtual show fails? Will the pageant become a laughingstock of the industry? What if it succeeds? Will the rival pageants change their minds and produce their own virtual shows? Only God knows. On this vlog, I'd like to discuss the pros and cons of a virtual pageant, focusing primarily on Miss Philippines Earth 2020 that took place last July 5th and on Miss Earth 2020 scheduled for November 28. First, let's talk about the pros. At number 1, well, the most obvious reason is that a virtual pageant can take place anytime despite a pandemic or any other acts of God, as long as technology is available. In case of pageants, the participants do not have to travel and can perfectly compete virtually from their own home. This also saves them the trouble of having to wear a mask or observing social distancing. A poster on a pageant forum wrote that virtual pageant is still better than no pageant at all. Well, it is true to a certain extent, but we need to ask ourselves who actually reaps the most benefits from a virtual pageant? Or is it a win-for-all situation? A virtual pageant may never be as good as a real live pageant, but it is a substantial alternative. It's like drinking a decaffeinated coffee or a non-alcoholic wine. It's almost the real thing, but good enough for the time being. At number 3, lower costs. In other words, cheaper. With no need for a venue, food and beverage, travel and hotel rooms, printed signage, or on-site production staff, costs for an online event run substantially lower than for in-person events. And of course, the contestants don't have to fork out money to purchase airline tickets because they're not going anywhere. 4, no wardrobe stress. Depending on the demands of the pageant, the contestant doesn't have to worry about wardrobe malfunction or another contestant sabotaging her costume, cocktail dress, or evening gown. Why? Because she's all by herself in a space where she can do whatever she wants to look good for the video clip that she will submit to the pageant organizers. Well, maybe with the help of fellow quarantined family members. 5, potential to reach a larger audience. Practically anyone who has a mobile device or a laptop and who can connect to the internet can view the virtual pageant. Number 6, it's green. A virtual Miss Earth pageant eliminates the transport of people and materials, which reduces the carbon footprint of the event. It also eliminates the production of materials that will go to waste after an event, such as ticket stubs, signage, and program books. And now let's talk about the cons. Number one, networking and interaction seem limited. The contestants will never have the real opportunity to bond with each other. They may bond virtually via social media, but knowing and meeting a person in virtual reality does not have the same human impact that physical reality offers. Virtual events are essentially impersonal. Also, the Miss Earth brand fails to make real connections with their target audience through sponsorships, as there is no face-to-face interaction with the attendees to leave an impact on them. 2. Virtual events rely on technology, thus attendance wouldn't be possible without the use of computers and mobile devices. When technology is involved, it opens the door for a number of complications. So before you start creating a virtual pageant, you need to ask yourself these questions. Does your organization have staff members that can support and manage the technical aspects of a virtual pageant? Can you handle the bandwidth? How are you going to engage your viewers to interact with the contestants? And do you have a plan B in case electrical power goes off? 3. Virtual events don't create a revenue stream like in-person events. A pageant organization may choose to live stream the event, but there's no guarantee that the stream will flow smoothly, due perhaps to poor internet connection on either end. It is also possible that the live stream could be permanently halted. And if you're an online viewer who paid money to watch the stream, I am sure you'd be mad as hell and would demand a refund. 4. Online attendees usually have a short attention span for online events. Why? Because of distraction. If you're watching an online pageant, there's always the potential to be distracted by practically anything, like annoying notifications from your smartphone, or direct messages, or people calling or texting, or the dog barking, or kids fighting, loud music being played next door, etc. 5. Less excitement. Compared to the grandeur which is promised at live pageants, a virtual pageant is just another browser opened on a laptop or mobile device. If you're an attendee in a real live pageant, everything is three-dimensional and you get the full grand experience with your 5 senses. You can feel the excitement building up in the venue, from the introduction of the contestants all the way to the coronation of the winner. You get to take photos of the event, selfies with the contestants, and perhaps even attend a coronation party afterwards. I mean, you can't do all that in a virtual pageant. 6. Contrived script and lack of spontaneity. I watched Miss Philippines Earth 2020 virtual pageant, and even though Carousel did a decent job overall with the production, I couldn't help but notice the reaction of the contestants as they received a special award or were called to advance in the finals. Now, watch these 2 segments.
First up is the Eco Angel Award, which goes to the delegate who made the most number of relevant and meaningful activities and sharing these online during the pageant season. And she is Lalo Cagayan, Laika Chamberlain Lagasca.
Oh, angels sent from above, you know you make my world.
Up next is the special award for the delegate who has captured the admiration of our friends from the press and bloggers alike. This year's darling of the press is Baguio City, Roxanne Allison Bayens. A delegate's eco...
Do these women's surprised reaction look genuine to you, or was it scripted? I also couldn't ignore the obvious, that practically everyone spoke English perfectly without any struggle that is sometimes pervasive in live pageants. I wonder, were these contestants reading from a teleprompter on their computer screen? Were they reading from a cue card? Did they write their own statements, or were the statements written by the scriptwriter? If this had been a live pageant, would they have expressed themselves this smoothly, or would they have been nervous and possibly choked on their answers? I mean, the contestants all looked beautiful and near perfect, but most of them made little impression on me. Most of them sounded fake. Sorry. 7. Time difference. Since each contestant will be competing virtually from her home country, this means that she needs to be totally prepared before the online show begins. Considering the different time zones, assuming that the online pageant will start at 8 p.m. on a Saturday, Philippines time, this means that the contestants whose countries do not share the same time zone with the Philippines will have to synchronize their clocks to match the time in the Philippines. For example, let's say Miss Earth USA comes from New York City, and New York City is 12 hours behind the Philippines. This would mean that she will have to turn her clock ahead for 12 hours while being aware that the actual time in New York City is 8 in the morning, Saturday. Ugh. This is just getting complicated. But you know what I mean. And number 8, feeling shortchanged. Since the organizers do not have overhead production costs that would otherwise be spent on a real stage, lighting, choreography, stage design, photographers, security staff, hair and makeup, walking coach, wardrobe assistants, etc., the national director who has paid good money for the franchise may feel resentful, knowing that they're not getting their money's worth. Not to mention that their contestant is not getting perks that one would usually get in a real pageant, like sponsors' gifts, opportunities to model and promote a product, invitations to sponsor events, opportunity to appear on TV, or to be interviewed by traditional and social media outlets. A handful of several directors requested Carousel Productions to postpone the pageant until 2021, like what the other pageants are doing, but their request was dismissed. Carousel needs to realize that being a national director is a real job that requires hard work and a decent salary. There are directors who are well off and who can finance the whole production themselves, or are lucky enough to get support from lucrative sponsors. But unfortunately, most directors struggle to finance their pageants, and one way to sustain their pageants is to require an entry fee to the applicants. The entry fee pays for the production cost, the preparation of the winner, providing for a wardrobe, travel expenses to the venue of her international pageant, and other miscellaneous expenses. Besides charging an entry fee, the directors also have to sell tickets, and if the event is streamed live, they can charge for online viewing. However, since Carousel decided to hold a virtual pageant this year, some national directors are thinking of boycotting because they don't believe in a virtual pageant that deprives their contestants of the real pageant experience. Some directors do not think it's fair that Carousel will hold a virtual pageant and not give them a refund of this year's franchise fee, which literally gives the impression that Carousel is stealing their money. But the saddest part is that the contestant, who has always dreamed of proudly representing her country and shining on stage in front of a live audience, will never get to fulfill that dream. And there you have it, the pros and cons of a virtual pageant. Do you agree or disagree? Comment below. If you're a national director, have you decided whether or not you want your representative to participate in Miss Earth's virtual pageant in November? I would be very interested to hear your views. Please comment below or direct message me. Until the next time, guys, bye.